Guys, we're going to move on and do some just general NFL talk. Get away from the Browns for a little bit. But experience Cleveland Charge basketball at Public Hall this season. The Cleveland Charge, the NBA G League affiliate for the Cavaliers, are back in action for their 5th season in Cleveland. Charge alumni like Dean Wade and Sam Merrill and two-way players like Naquan Tomlin and Luke Travers show the NBA G League is the home for future stars of the NBA. You can join the Charge for Backyard Basketball Night presented by True North Convenience Stores on Saturday, December 27th at 7. The Charge will take the court as the Mighty Melonheads, and the first 1,500 fans will receive a Pablo Sanchez bobblehead. Tickets are on sale now at clevelandcharge.com.
We actually spent 30 seconds on Tua and then 19 and a half minutes on
I forgot where
that's fine.
That's all. I forgot where that went. I was like, hold on, why did the Tua thing go?
Nobody wants Tua.
That was 27 seconds too long.
Nobody wants to.
Make sure
8% of the chat said yes.
No.
Make sure you change that thumbnail to the Andrew Berry conversation.
I'll update it later.
By the way, I think that's the first time that conversation has been had since we talked about the news broke, right? Whether or not it's guaranteed. So,
all right, let's get to this next topic, which is the unpredictability. This is what makes the NFL great, generally. Sadly, the Browns have not taken it. It's crazy. In a sport that more than any other sport is designed for everybody to be near 500, for there to be balance, for there to be up and down, that the Browns are consistently on the bottom. In the easiest sport not to be. Like in baseball and basketball, where the Cleveland teams have been pretty good considering market size. Considering market size.
Bless you.
Thank you. The Guardians and Cavs, like I would say, are above the curve considering market size, even though it means less in the NBA, over the last, we'll say since 99. If you go with the Indians since 95. I got to sneeze again.
Bless you.
Sorry.
Live TV integrated.
But then you have the Browns, who in the sport more than any other sport is designed for people to be even, have not won the division.
Since 89.
Since 89. Have barely been to the playoffs since then. It's crazy, especially considering they're spending more money than any team in the league.
In history.
In the history of the NFL, the Browns are spending more money. And some fans are still conned into believing that Jimmy Haslam's a good owner. And I saw my man Xavier P. write today that the Browns have the best available job because
Absolutely
the owner will spend.
Absolutely not true.
Well, most people don't believe.
What NFL owners don't spend? Most of them do.
All right, wait a minute. This was not supposed to be a Browns.
Sorry.
Let me clarify. Jimmy goes out of his way to restructure contracts and do things differently in a way that few other owners will.
Yeah.
For the most part, all NFL salaries are right around.
That is the one thing I would give Jimmy credit for is he is willing to do more. Fine. But he gets credit for nothing else. Everything else he does is terrible. Okay, and you're right. Almost every owner spends. All right, now let's get to the topic of the fact that the league this year is even more topsy-turvy than ever, right? You have the Chiefs out of it.
That's unbelievable to me.
The Ravens
just
out
that
of it.
alone.
Oh, the Ravens are not eliminated yet, but they're probably not going to the playoffs.
Just the Chiefs being out of it alone.
Completely out of it, right? Ravens out of it.
Yeah.
Lions might not make the playoffs. No Joe Burrow in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like you have
the
a
Bears
lot
are
of
going to win their division.
What's that?
The Bears are looking like they're going to win the division.
Yeah,
or if they
that's not as crazy as any of these other things, but okay, yeah. I mean, the Bears are very well on their way to win the division. The Jaguars having a great season. The Panthers having a good season. The who else? Is there somebody else in the AFC?
Patriots.
The Patriots.
Broncos.
I think we all expect the Patriots to be better, but not this good.
Yeah.
The Broncos certainly have taken. I thought they would regress this year after their season. They didn't.
I did too.
It has been a crazy of all these storylines. The teams that have disappointed, teams that have. What's to you the craziest storyline?
Man, it's kind of terrible. I'm just like, so the way I think of it, guys, is I don't never see it as crazy storylines. Like, because the way I look at the NFL is like, I used to always talk to my dad, and he always used to be like, man, if you want to lose your money, bet on the NFL. Like to me, every week I watch a game, I don't never go into no game saying that this team going to blow this team out. I literally, like, I can't even touch no FanDuel because when I be looking at these teams, it comes down to you can watch a game and you can see somebody make a play and you say, that's where the game turned right there.
Yeah.
It's about 3 to 4 plays that dictate between here and there. And I think Jimmy Johnson said the NFL stands for not for long.
Yep.
And the greatest thing about the NFL is it ain't that big of a difference between the really, really, really bad teams and the really good ones. Take a look just last week between the Bills and the Browns. Like, the Bills obviously have a way better team. They got a franchise quarterback, but a couple of plays here or there, and it's a 23-20 game. So for me, I understand that it's not predictable, and then you throw in injuries, like throw in like Lamar Jackson being hampered the whole year, Joe Burrow being hampered, Patrick Mahomes being banged up. If you get one of them dudes, their offenses are built around those people, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah.
if those people go out, you might as well chalk it up. So
Yeah, I mean, without Mahomes, the Chiefs are like one of the worst teams in the league. They obviously weren't even playing that well with him this year.
To me, the biggest one, and I don't kind of understand it, is I still watch the Cowboys all the time, and I just don't understand, given what the Cowboys be having, why they be taking L's like that.
Yeah, I mean,
They seemingly got decent offensive line.
They got a good offense.
They got a good offense. They
Good
got
quarterback,
Dak Prescott,
good playmaker receiver.
good playmakers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I look up, I'm like, how you got 5?
yeah, it is
5
crazy.
wins,
It's
man.
I think that you're right about the unpredictability of football this year more than ever. To me, the craziest thing, and of course it negatively affects the Browns,
The Jaguars.
is the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody, even when they were off to a good start, you were still like, it's the Jaguars. What are they? Are they the top seed in the AFC right now? Second?
I'll confirm their position, but I think so.
And it has nothing to do with the trade. It has nothing to do with the trade.
Right.
Zero.
No, Travis
Right.
Hunter hurt.
He got hurt.
Brian-
He's a non-factor.
Brian Thomas not doing nothing.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
these Minimowski dudes out here.
They traded for Jacoby Myers, who's been great. They extended him.
and he's been balling.
And they've been running the ball. Trevor Lawrence has been fantastic.
He's played very well, finally.
I'm
So
saying
they're third
it's,
in the AFC Bowl.
what's that?
Third right now.
Oh,
in the
who's
AFC.
second?
Patriots, and then Broncos are in first.
Oh, right. I forgot about.
But they had it every other year. Remember they came back and beat the Chargers in that playoff game, and then played the Chiefs really well.
I think Baker and Trevor Lawrence are on a seesaw, and they take turns. One of them's good for a little while. The other one sucks.
Yeah, but I think this is probably the best Trevor's been, right? Is that fair?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Playing, you're right. He's playing his best football right now, and
maybe he found a system that fits.
Yeah.
He's been through so many coaches and coordinators.
Hey, look, that Liam Cohen, as much as he's a weirdo, remember his press conference to Duval? That was so creepy.
Yeah.
Baker had his best year with him last year,
Yeah.
and now Trevor Lawrence is having his best year with him this
Yeah,
year.
it could be something to it.
I just gotta give him credit.
I think it's the surprises are the guys that aren't there even more because you never know who's going to emerge in the NFL. There's always one or two teams you don't see coming.
Yeah.
But to see the Chiefs on the outside looking in, the freaking Packers, they were talking about the Packers going undefeated after they traded for Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I like the Packers.
Well, the Packers are
this
still going to
season.
make the playoffs, probably.
I mean, they're not in it right now, I don't think.
They're
No,
in
they-
7th place right now.
they're in 7th. Yeah. Because the Lions lost, and
So it's the teams that you think, okay, well, you know for sure. You don't know what else is going to happen. You know this team, and this team are for sure going to make it. You can't even count on that anymore.
No, that's true.
I'm a little surprised. Honestly, I'm a little surprised at the 49ers because they lost a lot of people.
They've had so many injuries,
and they keep rolling. I was impressed.
They've clinched a playoff spot in the NFC. 5 of the playoff spots are clinched already. Seattle, Chicago, Philly, San Francisco, and the Rams are all in the playoffs. You got Carolina and Tampa Bay for the NFC South. Carolina's 8-7, Tampa Bay 7-8, but they play each other again. I think if the Buccaneers win out, they will still win the division because they play Carolina the last week of the season. Green Bay's got the 7 seed over Detroit. They're up a game and a half over Detroit because they have a tie. So Green Bay will probably get the last spot over Detroit. But that's it. In the AFC, you also have by the way, for the first time ever, we might have all 14 playoff spots clinched before the final week of the season.
I don't like that.
Because if Baltimore loses or Pittsburgh wins, they clinch. I believe that the Texans, I think, clinch with a win. If Carolina wins and the Buccaneers lose, then the Carolina clinches. And if Green Bay wins, I think they clinch.
You know how I can't believe I'm gonna say this. You know how I'm slightly impressed with the freaking Steelers, man.
They just roll.
I saw a stat that said they're gonna be 500 for the
20th year in a row. Oh,
22.
22.
I think it's 22.
22, yeah. 19.
19
Tomlin's been there for 19.
Winning record 22 years in a row.
Man,
It's crazy.
man.
The Browns have had 3 winning seasons in the last 22 years.
Man.
Well, how about this stat?
I'm gonna give them credit.
Since 99, the Browns have had 24. This is only in 26 years, right? 27 years, I think. Yeah, 27 years, last 27 football seasons. The Browns have had 24 4-game losing streaks, 4 games or more losing streaks, which is crazy. It's almost one a year. How many do you think the Ravens and Steelers have had combined?
Probably 0, 1, 2.
What was
Wait.
the losing streak?
Hold on, say that.
Going back.
27 years.
5.
Probably 7 or 8.
It's actually more than that. It's actually 12 between them.
Okay.
That's still 6 apiece.
But that's still 6. That's one every 4
I mean,
years.
4 games is
Right.
a quarter of the season, and the Browns have lost a quarter of their season
Yeah.
24 times.
Yeah. 24 times. That's got to be the worst.
Okay.
And maybe the Jets. But the Jets had some good years.
Let me ask y'all this.
Yeah.
Sanchez took him to the AFC Championship
Yeah.
game. In
So-
Chad Pennington years.
If you guys, okay, because I know there's 2 different thought processes.
Yeah.
You see the Steelers, and they always over 500.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the way they're handling the quarterback, or would you guys, or are you out of the thought process that you have to, the Steelers should go drop down, take L's, get the quarterback, and then get
No,
back
the
up?
Steelers have a healthy culture. They just win, and they'll figure out the quarterback as they go.
Right, but the reality is
Do you think
They'll figure it out.
that-
they're not going to win a Super Bowl this way. Now,
I don't know. I wouldn't bet them to win
Yeah.
this year. Would you really be shocked?
I
Given
would
what
be
we
shocked.
given what we just said.
all right, I'd be surprised. Not shocked.
I'd be a little
I'm
surprised.
I would be again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick them to win.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and say they have no. There have been
Yeah.
past years where we looked at the Steelers and said, "All right, they made the playoffs. They ain't going anywhere. They got no shot." I'm not saying that this year.
the way that they're building, like and the reason I ask this is because a lot of fans in Pittsburgh
Yeah.
is kind of tired.
Right.
They're
I
like-
would. If you're a Steeler fan, it sounds crazy to Browns fans that Steeler fans would
Right.
want Mike Tomlin gone or be pissed. But I get it because, like I said the other day, and you know the Bengals are obviously more similar to the Browns than they are to the Steelers. When Marvin Lewis went to the playoffs 7 years in a row, the first 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, I was like, "This is awesome! Playoffs every year, competitive team." By years, certainly by 6 or 7, maybe by 5, I was like, "I'm done. Get rid of him. We can't get eventually you got to get past that point."
Yeah.
Now, Mike Tomlin did win a Super Bowl early in his career, so it's obviously different. But eventually, yeah, you know, it's not your priorities change. As a Browns fan, like right now, every Browns fan would sign up for what the Steelers have been.
Oh, please.
But if let's say the next 7 years, the Browns went to the playoffs and lost in the first round every time, eventually you'd be like, we got to make a change.
Do you think that they'll ever? Do you think they will ever? Well, they kind of did it with Kenny Pickett. They kind of reached on Kenny like in the first round,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that
just
didn't
like
work
the
out.
Patriots did with Mac Jones.
Right.
But then eventually the Patriots, you know, the Steelers are the problem for the Steelers, and they got Ben Roethlisberger later in the draft. They never drafted the top 10, or almost never.
Not that later.
Yeah,
Ben
they-
was a top 10
10,
pick.
11.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he
Was
was
he
11.
11?
I think it was
Okay.
11. And that,
But
pretty high
still,
up.
I mean, they're never, you know, usually.
Rarely.
I
yes.
mean, what's funny is as topsy-turvy as the NFL is this year, with 3 of the 4 best quarterbacks not making the playoffs, still almost every team in the playoffs that's going to the playoffs has a quarterback that was drafted in the first round. You know, think about it. I mean, think about this, right?
except for Purdy,
Except for Purdy,
Eagles.
Hurts was drafted in the second. All right, right now. So you got in the AFC,
Broncos, Patriots, first round.
Broncos, Patriots, Jaguars, all first round.
Jaguars.
Steelers first round. I know he's old and he's not, but he still
But
is a
it still
first round.
counts, yeah.
Still counts. Chargers first round, Bills first round, Texans. All 7 teams in the AFC have a first round pick.
Yeah.
Now, if Baltimore gets in, it would be a first round pick too.
Yep.
Indy's still alive. They don't have a first round pick, but He's not. They're like, oh, Philip Rivers was a first-round pick. That's right.
1987.
They didn't dip back.
That's right.
They dipped back to the 03 class.
In the NFC, Seattle first-round pick, Chicago first-round pick, Philly second-round, Carolina first-round, Rams Niners seventh round, Rams first-round, Packers first-round. If the Lions get in first round, if the Buccaneers get in first round. Basically, every quarterback except for Purdy, and Hurts was drafted in the second round.
It's right in front of you.
Yeah.
All the data is right in front of you.
No.
Have you ever? And I mean, that's crazy because the Lions they did trade for him.
Yeah,
but they traded the first round pick.
They traded. That's right. That's right.
And they got first round picks back to take the contract.
Yeah, that's true.
Who won that trade?
They both did. Both teams got exactly what they wanted out of that.
Yeah. I mean,
the Rams got a Super Bowl.
You have to give the Rams the edge.
I mean, they got the Super Bowl
because they won a Super Bowl.
But the Lions would do that trade over and over and over.
Right.
So that means
it worked great for both teams. But if I had to pick a winner, I'm picking the Rams because they won the Super Bowl.
It is,
and ultimately Stafford is better than Goff.
What if the Lions eventually win a Super Bowl with Goff?
Unless they win multiple Super Bowls with Goff,
I think
I would still give a slight. It's still a win for the Lions.
It was one of the most even trades ever.
A trade of that size to work out great for both teams.
Very rarely do you see both teams walk away and go, "We got exactly what we wanted out of that."
Right.
Yep. I agree.
And what I'll say about, because I know you and Jay will refuse to listen to the Deshaun Watson being the second worst trade of all time, but here's what I'll say about that. Maybe this will make it think everybody. In terms of the loser of that trade, I would agree that the Browns are the biggest loser of that trade. But the Cowboys are a bigger winner of the other trade than the Texans are in this trade.
See, I just look at it from the Browns' perspective.
Right. From the loser perspective, yes, the Browns were a bigger loser. From a winner's perspective, the Cowboys were a bigger winner because it directly led to them winning those championships.
Yeah. I would say in the last 10 years, the worst trades would be the 49ers and the Broncos.
But not worse than the Watson trade.
No, but I would say
those were bad too.
They were horrible. And then,
but look what the Broncos did.
They're not
got rid of Russell Wilson.
They're now playoff teams.
Yeah.
And it almost as it never happened.
They found replacements quickly. They found Knicks. Denver found Knicks in the first round.
Yeah.
And they figured it out. And San Francisco fell into
San Francisco got very lucky.
Yeah, they did.
I don't think Knicks is going to be the guy to put them over the hump yet, though.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. He could develop into it still, but
I mean, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, but that defense makes them look a lot better than they are.
I'm not putting him in the elite
He's a tier 2 quarterback.
Yeah, he's not elite.
I would put him as
I'd take him on this team in a second.
To me, he's a lower end tier 2 quarterback, and I think
he's only in year 2.
I think I could win a Super Bowl with that if the team is very good around him, which it is.
He's played well the first 2 years.
I mean, they got one of the top 5 defenses. They got. I like R.J. Harvey. He's getting better every week at running back. They got solid, pretty good receivers.
Here's what I will say.
Yeah.
I'll give you this. I do think, as we talk about the quarterback situation, whether who you got or whether you feel like the guy is the guy or whatever the case may be, I do believe that Bo Nix is an example of. And Sean, I'm gonna ask him about this a little bit too. A lot of it is how they drafted you and what they feel about you. Because if they draft you, I like the fact that Denver, they went in saying, Bo Nix is my dude. Sean Payton,
right?
He said, come hell or high water, listen, me and Russell Wilson not working. We about to get rid of him. And we about to go all in on Bo Nix. And everything that they do is revolving around Bo Nix. I think a lot of times with young quarterbacks, you got to be all in on them. Like, and if you want to figure out if you got a franchise dude, you can't half step. It's either you going step up, put your arms around them, put the investment in them, or move on and find somebody else that you is going to do that. Yeah. I think that's important when it comes to young quarterbacks 100%. And organizations.